Hello, hello, everyone. It is good to see you tonight. I am live in a lot of different places today, trying that for the first time. I'm live over on Instagram. Hello, Instagram. And also on my YouTube channel, which is under Christy Varner Victory Advisory, my Facebook business page, Victory Advisory Services, and in the private Facebook community from Survive to Thrive for small business owners. And if you are not part of that community yet and you are a small business owner, I encourage you to join us. It's a community where we come together. It's a place where you can ask the questions that you don't know about accounting and finance, and I just try to share with you stuff that I know. So anyway, would love for you to come. I bet a lot of you that have gotten on right now are replay people, so I just want to say thank you for coming on to replay, and I really appreciate you watching. My name is Christy Varner, and I am here in the Dallas area in Plano, and I would love for you to let me know your name and where you are tuning in from, because I will go back and check the comments later. So thank you so much for doing that. It means a lot to me to have you here. It's way more fun when you're talking to people. So tonight, I am going to be explaining the new Treasury IRS clarification that came out last week on November 18th. Today is November 23rd. So it came out last Wednesday. And so this is current as of today, as of November 23rd. But, you know, with the government, things change all the time. But I want to clarify that because, or I want to explain about that because they came out with some new clarifications about the taxability. Hey, Amanda, thanks for coming on. And I'm glad that you did that. Hey, you guys, if you are watching on something where it tells you the StreamYard, I know it does it on Facebook, but if you just click accept on the StreamYard, then it lets me see your name when you put a comment, because otherwise it does this weird, like random Facebook user. So it's just the service that I stream through. So that would be great. So thank you for doing that, Amanda, who's giving up watching Dancing with the Stars so I can record this. So thank you. Hey, Celie, so fun to see you, girl. Okay, so let me just tell you. So tonight, what I wanted to explain to you is that the Treasury and, well, it's the Treasury, but also the IRS gets involved, right? They came out with a little bit of clarification about the taxability of your PPP expenses. And so essentially, when the CARES Act started and you got PPP money, they told you that that was not going to be taxable income. Okay, so everybody's like, oh, good, it's, you know, free. And then later came out and said, oh, but you can't deduct the expenses and once they're forgiven. So I think what's happened is now a lot of people are not applying for their forgiveness yet because you have 10 months from the end of your covered period to do that. So a lot of people just aren't doing that yet. Partly, I think, because we really only expect that the applications are going to get easier and more simplified, and we've already seen them get more simplified. And so, you know, there's really no reason to do that. And some people were thinking, well, I can go ahead and claim my expenses this year. So that's what the clarification is, that the Treasury came out and said this statement that if you believe, if you reasonably believe that you will be forgiven your PPP loan, then you cannot deduct those expenses on your 2020 tax return. So let me say that again. If you reasonably believe that you will be forgiven, and I mean, you can know that by doing the calculation, right? So if you believe that, then you can't deduct that expense on your tax return. So it doesn't matter anymore if you've applied or not. Even if you haven't applied, you've spent the money because you had to have done it by the end of the year. So they basically are saying, you know, whether or not you're getting forgiven. And if it works out that you said you were getting forgiven and you didn't, blah, 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 it can work out. But I think you probably have to go back and amend your 2020 return if you claimed the wrong thing. So you really don't want to do that. On the upside, it sounds to me like if they're saying that they're assuming a lot of people are going to get forgiven for their PPP loan. They assume that, we really did use it for the expenses that they gave us the money for, and giving us that extended period of time is really, really helpful. So I'm hoping that you did spend it on just the right things, that you spent it on payroll. Payroll's the easiest. If you could use it all on payroll, I hope that that's what you did, because that's just the simplest thing to show. But I want you guys to jump in and ask your questions as they come up. But I'm going to back up just a little bit to explain how those numbers work and how you would have recorded that, just in case if that helps you. So when let's just use an example of a company that has, say, $100,000 in sales, in revenue. So when that money, let's just say that your PPP loan was $20,000. So when they gave you the $20,000, that was not considered income. That's what they said. So you wouldn't add the 100,000 in sales and to the 20 that you got. You wouldn't do that. So on your books, you record it as a loan, right? Because that's exactly what it was. They gave you a loan until you could prove that you used it correctly. So in the world of your accounting, you would record it to cash and to a loan. Okay, so that has no impact on your profit or your taxable income, which I know those are two separate things, but as small business owners and entrepreneurs, we care about our profit from a financial standpoint, but you also want to care, we know, from a tax standpoint, because who wants to pay more taxes than you need to? Okay, so let's just say that you had $70,000 in expenses this year, but of the $70,000, $20,000 of it you spent, they gave you the 20 and you had spent 20 of it on employees for their payroll expenses. So under a normal scenario, we didn't count the 20 that they gave us as income. So it's just staying at 100. And then we spent 70. So we have profit of 30. Does that make sense? So we have profit of 30. Celie, thank you. Great question. I'll answer that in a sec. So that leaves you with $30,000 in income. And the reason as a financial person that I want you to go ahead and record that $20,000 that you spent on your employees is we need to know, right? Like what it took for you to, the people that you actually paid out, and you have to keep up with that. But so that would leave you with $30,000 in taxable income. What the government has said, and they said this for a while, is that they're not counting that $20,000 in the top line. They're not adding it up to taxable income, because that bottom number is what you get taxed on, right? Like the 100 minus 70 equals 30. That's what you get taxed on. What they said instead is, we're not going to add the 20 to the 100, but you also can't count the 20 in your expenses. Okay, so the $70,000 that included that 20, you have to take that out. So it becomes 50 in this scenario. So now you're being taxed on $50,000. And if you think about it, they're just basically saying they don't want you to double dip, right? Like we gave you the money, so now you don't get the expense, if that makes sense. So I know it makes sense, and yet, isn't like anybody's favorite, because who wants to pay taxes on stuff? But it is money that they gave you, but you really need to know that. And I hope that all year long you knew that and have been planning for that and setting that aside, that whatever your book income says on your financials, you need to add back that amount that you believe that you'll be forgiven, because for tax purposes, they will not allow you to deduct that. So here's where the catch is. A lot of people have not applied for their forgiveness yet. And Celie, this is kind of what we've talked about that you were asking about, is should you go ahead and apply for it now? I don't know, honestly, that it really matters. You probably already know whether or not you're going to be forgiven. Hopefully you spend it all on payroll, because that's the easiest thing to have done. And I just feel like everything gets easier and easier. Some people really want to go ahead and do it right now and button it up, and you absolutely can. And others want to wait and hope that it gets more simplified, the forms, and I feel like they are getting more simplified. But the thing is, for your tax purposes, what this new ruling says is whether or not you have applied for forgiveness or receive forgiveness, it doesn't matter. If you reasonably expect that you will be getting a refund, getting forgiven, sorry, not a refund, but you reasonably expect that your PPP loan will be forgiven, then you cannot deduct that expense for your tax purposes. So some people were thinking like, oh, I'll take my $100,000 and put the 70 in and just have $30,000 in taxable income because I didn't apply for forgiveness yet. So it's not forgiven. So it still counts. And I guess that's what the IRS and the Treasury have wisened up to and have said, no, thanks. We are not doing it that way. So let me see. Yay, I did spend it all on payroll. I'm in no hurry. Yes, as they might do blanket forgiveness. Girl, we got to hope. Like I love that idea. So thank you for saying that, Celie. Yeah, I really don't feel like there's a big reason to rush for this because you know that you're going to do it. But let me explain to you really quickly. I hope that explained all that. That's the big update, is it really just go ahead and count on the fact that you've got to add that PPP forgiveness back into your taxable income. So that's going to be a book tax difference is what we call it, when you are going to have something different on your books than you will on your taxes. Because in that instance, you are going to end up with taking that $70,000 in our instance, and they're going to take it down and say, no, you really only spent $50,000, right? And for yourself, for planning for going forward, you need to know, like when we're doing strategy for your business planning, we got to know that you actually spent 70 to run your business last year, because that helps us strategically. So it's just going to be a difference. And what you're going to do when you are taking into account that you've now been forgiven, now you're going to reduce that loan. Remember when we got the money, in accounting terms, if you know debits and credits, you debited cash and you credited the loan, which just means you put the loan on your books. Well, now that you know you're going to get forgiven, you're going to take the loan off your books. So you're going to debit the loan. And I want you to set up an account, like an other income account, and call it something like PPP forgiveness non-taxable or something like that, because it will make it stand out to your CPA when they're looking at it, because that's going to put it into your income. And remember, the CPA that does your taxes is not going to put that into your income, nor are they going to count the expenses. So you want to have both of those sort of sticking out so that they can see how they match up, right? So the easiest way is if that forgiveness number is right there, then they know to take that amount out of the deduction on the other side. So I hope that makes sense. Sorry, we're low battery. Gotta love that on Instagram. But so let me know. Let's see. Oh, I do expect. Okay. Oh, that makes me so happy that you think you'll be forgiven, Celie. That's awesome. And I really expect a lot of people will. And I think that the Treasury thinks that people are going to be forgiven too, because otherwise, why would they put out this ruling that's basically telling everybody to go back and add this into your 2020 taxes? I think they were just like, don't get smart with us and try to deduct it this year and then drag it into 2021. And it might be a year that instead of, you may want to file an extension. If you're not used to filing a business extension, if you're not quite sure how to do it all, or you want to wait, you might file the extension. But I really do think it's fairly straightforward. It's just saying that don't mess around with, it's not reliant on whether or not you have been forgiven or even applied for forgiveness. It's reliant on what did you use that money for, and do you know, for the most part, whether or not you will be forgiven. The last thing that I want to say on this is this is a great year to use a tax accountant. I am not a tax accountant. I just read this stuff because I care about you guys and I want to help you. I read the IRS revenue ruling so I could talk to you guys about this, because I know I just like to talk in everyday language and make finance and accounting easier for everyday people to understand, because I'm an everyday girl myself. But I'm used to reading that kind of stuff, so I read it for you. But I am not a tax accountant, so I strongly urge you to consult with your tax accountant and get them to give you the spin from the tax side. I am a CPA, and I work with businesses in strategy, consulting, growth, profitability, all the fun stuff that I love, but I do want to have you have the lowest possible taxes that you can too. So anybody else have any questions? Let me see. I'm looking through to see. Oh, somebody on Insta. Okay. I don't see any other questions. So I hope that this was helpful. I just wanted to come on real quickly to let you know that update. Please ask questions as you think of them. Tag me so that I'll know and I'll see it. If this was helpful to you, then, you know, tag a friend or invite them to private Facebook community. It's, you know, it's my joy to serve you guys. And I just really thank you for popping on. Let me know how I can help you. And until next time, thank you. Bye, guys.